Why is it so personal business?
The journey we have through our lives from childhood can create whether your business performs well.
27, 28 years, expert in building community.
Reid Hoffman was one of our members, the founder of LinkedIn. The purpose of the community is to help business owners grow their business. I'm not seeking my success, I am seeking their success.
Welcome to the Business Growth Podcast, powered by ActionCOACH UK, the world number one in business coaching. Since 1993, we've helped thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs worldwide smash through their limits and achieve extraordinary results. This is more than a podcast, it's your blueprint for success. So grab a pen and paper, take notes, and make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell for weekly growth insights. Let's do this. ActionCOACH, the help you need to grow your business.
What does it take to build a community that changes lives? Today's guest knows better than most. Penny Power OBE is a true pioneer of online business networks. Back in 1998, she co-founded Ecademy, the world's first social network for business owners, years before LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter even existed. Since then, Penny has dedicated her career to helping entrepreneurs feel connected, supported, and seen. She's the author of Know Me, Like Me, Follow Me, and Business is Personal. And her work has inspired thousands of business leaders to build with love, trust, and authenticity at the core. But Penny's story isn't just about business success. It's about resilience, purpose, and what happens when we stop chasing status and start focusing on true human connection. In this conversation, you'll hear Penny's lessons on building communities, the challenges she's overcome, and why love and vulnerability might just be the greatest business tools of all. Let's dive in.
This episode is sponsored by Initium Corporate Finance, advising ambitious business owners up to and beyond a company sale. Now back to the podcast.
Penny Power, you were born on a leap year. Is that what makes you so powerful?
You know that? How funny. Yes, I was.
That probably makes you 10 years old.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah.
That would make me 40.
Yeah.
Not 61.
Oh, well, there you go. You're looking amazing. I didn't want to ask.
No, I'm very proud of my age and I think very lucky to get old.
Yeah, and look, business is personal, isn't it?
It is very personal.
Why is it so personal business?
Do you know, somebody used a brilliant phrase. One of our clients, Thomas Fortis Mayer, said last week in a room, and he's so right about this phrase, is people bring their childhood into the boardroom. And the reason he said that, and I think it's a brilliant quote, is that our personal lives, the journey we have through our lives from childhood all the way through, creates limiting beliefs, creates your character, creates the way you behave, and can create whether your business performs well. And so I thought, what actually happened that was the trigger point for this is after we exited Ecademy, I started another business called Digital Youth Academy. And it was quite a hard journey, because it had been very difficult, the closure exit of Ecademy into the type of person that bought it. But then I was going out on my own without Thomas. You know, we built Ecademy together to build Digital Youth Academy, which was to bring the first digital marketing apprenticeship.
When you say the
market.
Academy, what is the Academy? Tell us about that.
Ecademy. So Ecademy, 1998, sitting in a Pizza Express with the three children and Thomas.
Well, Pizza Express is pretty good, isn't it?
In Farnham. Awesome. Thomas, an awesome connector of people, an entrepreneur.
This is your husband?
This is Thomas, my husband. The internet was just emerging, really, and it was all about e-commerce, have a website. And I said to Thomas, you know, as somebody who loves to connect people and network, and for me as someone that wants people to feel loved and deeply connected, wouldn't it be nice to have a community for business owners? And he loved the idea. And we started it. He had his own business. I started Ecademy. We worked together on it as a side hustle, really. Not realising we were giving birth in 1998 to the first social network in the world. So it was 4 years before LinkedIn, 6 years before Facebook, 8 years before Twitter, And it was an unbelievable ride because it's where I learned what entrepreneurship was, having always been in senior leadership type positions. And so we were 33 at the time. And Ecademy grew word of mouth all over the world, 650,000 business owners. It's where we really learnt how to create culture and how to love people and how to ensure people build meaningful relationships with one another. And I read Seth Godin's book, Permission Marketing, around the same time, and it was Turn Strangers into Friends, Friends into Customers. And I really loved that. That meant a lot to Thomas and I. I'd also read Celestine Prophecy, which was one part of it really meant something to me, which was this guy on this trek through Peru, came across this golden field of corn. And as he was travelling up the mountain, he saw a little weed in the corner of this field. And when he came back down it, the weed had taken over and damaged the field of this beautiful crop. And I thought, that's what community needs to be like. You need to make sure you keep the weeds out and that you really build something beautiful for everyone. And so the two things, all of it came together, and we just built this incredible community online. Reid Hoffman was one of our members, the founder of LinkedIn. We actually helped launch that.
So you trained Reid Hoffman?
I think that would be a bit arrogant to say that. But he certainly was one of our members. And, well, Thomas and him used to chat a lot. And when LinkedIn was launched in 2002, we straight away said to all our members, you must join LinkedIn. Because to us, Thomas and I are natural servant leaders. And I'm not saying that in a cringy way. That is our natural way. And to us, it was, how do we serve these business owners to make them successful? And
is that the best way to be in this world that we're in, serving?
I think increasingly in this world of technology, we have to be coming across as with the values of serving others. Yeah.
I agree with you. I can certainly sense that. I mean, look, you mentioned Seth, you mentioned the Celestine Prophecy.
Yeah.
There are no coincidences in this world. It's what you do next that matters most. When you realise that. That's the Celestine Prophecy.
That's really good.
So, 28 years expert in building community.
Yeah.
If you had to give the listeners right now top 3 bullet point headline actions to build an incredible community, what would you say?
They first of all have to be ready for it not to be about them. The community has to be about the people who join the community. And that sounds easy to say, but I think if you're still on a quest for yourself if you're still on your quest, if you're still on wanting to serve yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we've all gone through periods of when, we're building a business, building our family, whatever. But to build true community is absolutely about the members of the community. And it's no different to if I moved, and we use the metaphor of a village. If I moved into a village, I'd be a citizen of that village. And I wouldn't want anybody else to be walking around with an ego saying, this is how you do it and this is about me and aren't I brilliant. I'd want to have my place in that community and contribute and feel significant within that community in my own right. So community is, I mean, you see it, at play in lots of parts of our home lives. Mm-hmm. Our first community might be our family. And the ultimate role of a parent is to empower the children to become awesome and not to control the children, none of that. So that's the first community. But, you may belong to sports communities, church communities, religious communities, whatever it is. It's about the community. It's not about the person who leads it.
How do you prepare yourself for that?
That's a really interesting question. I think there's a mindset that you have to be in yourself. You can't force it. People are calling masterminds communities and things. So preparing it is you have to get to a state where you are empowering everybody, not yourself. So to us in our community, the skills, the expertise, the lives of our members are more important than they know one another, than that they know Thomas and I. We're there to serve them. We're there to create the culture. We're there to empower them to be successful. I'm not seeking my success. I am seeking their success.
Do you need a degree of self-esteem and self-worth and feeling all of this kind of thing first? Is that foundational?
I don't know, because I was first called a servant leader when I was 22, and I definitely didn't have a great deal of self-worth.
You were just bothered about other people.
Yeah.
The love and connection, you mentioned it earlier on. Don't go into it now. We're going to mention it in a second. But one of your chapters in this book is about the value you place on yourself.
Yeah.
And this statement in here, page 174, how you treat yourself will determine the culture of your business.
Yeah. Well, that was my own personal journey, because my journey of entrepreneurship was not the journey that I felt I was supposed to have in life, and it was forced. It wasn't it wasn't natural to me. In that entrepreneurship requires you to be someone who's a risk taker, to be someone interested in building asset, really, scale. I think the one thing that did classify me as an entrepreneur was that I was creating something that nobody else had ever done, and that is something that entrepreneurs like to do, to be that trailblazer. But I think I lost myself in it, because it was a really interesting world, the internet, when it was emerging like that. And identity, and suddenly seeing you on the front pages of newspapers.
When you say you lost yourself, what do you mean?
I think I lost the core of who I was, because I was running a machine, and I was all over the world doing speeches. And although and people do reflect on Ecademy and say beautiful things about it, culture, which wasn't just me, it was Thomas and the team. But I went through massive mental health challenges with it, because...
What kind of mental health challenges?
Strain, stress, financial stress, the juggle of family and children, wanting to be that best person for my parents, my mum with dementia, my sister who lost her daughter, my brother dying, my daughter having a trauma, everything that goes on. But when you're responsible for a business and when you're responsible for a community, it becomes that person's home. So imagine if Facebook turned around to people that's livelihood relies on Facebook and said, we're closing tomorrow. I mean, we know what it's like when people get blocked from it. Keeping Ecademy going was for the final 3 years was more about how do we keep it going for them. Thomas and I were financially ruined. So it was just this responsibility. There's a scene in Bruce Almighty that I don't think I'm God, please let you know that, but at all. But there's a bit where Bruce Almighty, he's asked to be God. Basically, he gets the job of God. And he hears all these prayers coming in at night, and he can't believe this chatter. And he stands up and he says, turn it into filing cabinets, turn it into Post-it notes. I could feel the prayers of members, the responsibility for each and every one of them's success. And it was a real joy in many ways, but it was a huge responsibility and a lot expected of us. And people thought because you were so well known that you must be .com millionaires, but that we were far from it.
Right.
And so it was just holding on to an identity that the world wanted you to have, but your truth inside. And I think that gap between identity and truth is where so much pain lies.
I reckon that is so common now in this personal branding revolution that we're in. The vanity of views and all this kind of stuff. One of your early books is Know Me, Like Me, Follow Me.
Yeah.
Creating a following. That's where a lot of people are now, isn't
I
it?
know.
Creating the following.
I know. And that's why I'm so proud of Hannah, our daughter, and what she's doing, because she is combining build your personal brand alongside how do you find your flow and stay in alignment with yourself. And I think it's a really challenging world, this following side of it. I've let go of that for myself, but to a certain extent I've been through it, and I've achieved a level of notoriety and being well known, and people stopping me in tube stations for a selfie with me, and I've experienced that. It didn't bring me joy.
So have you ever faked it? Have you ever been pretending? Well, you have pretended to be someone that you weren't.
I think it's more the brand that the world gave us.
Right.
So I remember I was doing a speech in Oxford, and a lady came up to me afterwards and said I wasn't going to come to this conference because I don't like you, right, at the end. And I said, oh my God. And I said, what is it you don't like about me? She says, you just seem to be so successful. And I said, well, you maybe need to know the truth. And I think all these little triggers led me to write this book, Business is Personal. And why I build community, where Thomas interviews them, and they really can't get into our community unless they're ready to be in their truth. Because nobody can help anyone who's not in their truth. Nobody can help people grow. In coaching, your coaches will know, I need to get underneath this person to understand what their truth is and what is driving them and where they've been and where they want to go and what's holding them back and what are their blocks.
Okay, so look, the first question was... what are the three critical ingredients of building a community? And we said you've got to be able to, you've got to be ready for it not to be about you.
Yeah.
All right. We're really going to detail. What's the second point?
So you've got to, I think, from a very young age, helping people to feel significant to others has been really important to me.
I interviewed a lady, a neuroscientist, you'll probably know, Dr. Linda Shaw. And she said, "What's the best gift you can give anyone?" And I was, thinking about little toys and things that you can give, and I came up with something, and she corrected a little bit of language, and she says this: you help someone else feel significant.
Yeah.
That is the best gift in life.
It absolutely is. And when somebody applies to our community, and I suggest it for any community, you put them through an interview, because when they get their place, they know that they've won something.
Yeah.
They feel significant. They've achieved something, and that is really important. So helping people feel that they matter, that they're needed, is so important. I do that every day naturally, and I'm sure many people do. From the person that serves me in the supermarket, I thank them for being really great, or anybody, someone on a tube, I'll tell them they look beautiful. To give the gift of significance to someone, to me, is so important. So within a community, obviously you have to let go of your own needs and be ready to serve, but to make people realise that in this community you have a part to play. You are significant. Your skills, your expertise, your life, your pains, your vulnerabilities, your honesty, all has huge significance within this community.
Significance, and earlier on you mentioned contribution as well. I think those are two of Tony Robbins' 6 human needs, aren't they?
It absolutely is, and don't we love him?
Yeah.
And if a community doesn't exist without people contributing. Now, I went through, in 2018 when I wrote my book, and I was in a really difficult place, which we can talk about, but it's maybe not that relevant now, but we had been through so many personal traumas as well as financial traumas. And I stepped into our local church to find love and belonging. I love to give it to others, but I wasn't really feeling it for myself. And so the kids were all at university and travelling or whatever, and Thomas was ill with cancer, and it was just a really difficult time. And so I went into church, and the vicar was brilliant. I said to him, I feel a bit of a fraud here because I haven't got the connection that you've all got. And he said, how do you know how well we're connected to God? He said, why are you here? And I said, because I'm just seeking love and belonging. He said, well, I believe God brought you here, right? So it became a really important part of my life and a journey to see whether or not in that environment I could find a deeper connection.
It now?
Yeah, I do. It's wonderful. But what the point I'm making here is that I looked at a lot of people who were retired, who were contributing. They were doing the tea, they were doing the coffees, they were saying the prayers, they were doing all sorts of things. And I felt, oh, goodness me, I've got to start contributing here, right? The point I'm making here is that contribution doesn't have to be in time. And that's important, because I started to do that, and for about 6 months I was on a rota to do the teas and coffees, and then I realised that I was disconnecting from wanting to go to church, because the one thing I wanted from that community was I needed to be served, because I was contributing in other ways elsewhere. And so I actually dropped out of contributing in that way. Contribute in other ways, and visit a lovely lady on a Saturday morning who can't go to church at the moment. I take her there, but I contribute in the community in different ways, but I couldn't do that. So when somebody joins our community, it's really important that when we talk about contribution, it starts with their payment to us as a community enables us to have that community for others. That's really important.
What's the purpose of the community? Because we've got to demystify this a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it can sound a bit like a cult to some of the listeners.
It could, actually. The purpose of the community is to help business owners grow their business. But I believe that your sense of purpose as a person and feeling significant helps you to increase your self-worth.
Yeah.
Therefore, improve your self-esteem, improve your pricing, give you more courage. And by the fact that they're willing to share their vulnerabilities as well in a private Chatham House Rules way, people are able to help them. And that reciprocal, I can help you, you can help me, all helps people rise. So the purpose is, ultimately, people pay a significant amount of money to us to run this community and the team. Their business must grow. Of course it must. It's business, but it's friendship first.
Friendship first, love and connection at the heart of it. Being alone, not lonely. There's a world famous quote here. Being deeply loved gives you strength. Loving deeply gives you courage.
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it?
It is a really good one.
It does.
Is that you? Love, is that your number one value, is it?
It is. It is since very young. Since I think the first time I really understood it was about 10. I was about 10. Yeah.
Okay, so third ingredient of building a community.
It is this vulnerability. It is building the culture. In a way, Peter Drucker says culture eats strategy for breakfast. And it really does. You get the culture right in any organisation and you're clear about it, it drives the strategy and it drives everything you do and it drives the behaviour of everybody within it. So I am very driven by the culture, Thomas and I, which is why, when we're interviewing people, we see whether they will fit
What is
into
the culture?
It's exactly really what I said. It's about love and connection. It's about enabling people to feel they can be vulnerable and truthful. And it's enabling people to see people, spend time with one another to help each other feel significant.
This is not a sexist question at
No.
all. Do women find it easier than men to be vulnerable in your experience?
Well, 70% of our membership is male. And I've asked the 30 women, actually, would you like a women's group? And they all said no, because they said they get exactly the same experience they'd get if they were with women. Because men like to be loved, like to find spaces to be vulnerable, to have support, to experience kindness, all of these things. But they're all human needs.
If some of the listeners was to go and practice being vulnerable today,
Yeah.
what should they do?
Well, I think it's find somebody you can have a meaningful conversation with. And it might put somebody else out of their comfort zone. But if you first of all ask them, layer up. So first of all, ask them, tell me something that you're really proud of about yourself, right? So about yourself. I think that's a really good starting point. And then ask them to share something that's happened in their life that they've had to have the courage to overcome. And then ask them, what has shaped your personality? What happened in your life that might have shaped who you are, whether it was good or bad? And if you ask those 3 questions to anyone...
Repeat them again.
So ask them what they're proud of.
Yeah, what you're most proud of.
What you're most proud of about yourself and why. What has something that's happened in your life that's helped shape you. And share something that's maybe painful or good in your life that has driven you towards what you do.
Okay. What are you most proud of?
My family.
What part of it?
The closeness and the values that we all hold and the desire that we all have to have an impact on others. And it's not come from ego. I mean, our kids were very little when they had name badges and went around the world shaking hands of entrepreneurs and hearing their stories. And obviously they've been through a huge amount with us. And they know that life's not easy. I mean, our boys had carried 4 coffins before the age of 20. It's very rare. And they understand, I believe, the meaning of life. So I'm very, very proud of the family.
Spiritually connected?
Very connected to people. And then I do extend family out to community. I am most proud of the fact that for whatever reason, my mission in life has been to help others feel that sense of family in their life, in business.
What does the word family mean?
What does the word family mean?
What's your definition of family?
Allowing everybody to be who they are and be connected to one another.
Powerful, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
You can lend that to leadership as well, guys, straight away.
Everybody has strengths.
Allow everybody to be who they are.
Yeah.
All right, share something that's helped shaped who you've become. Where did you grow up? Because the first thing you said was your childhood. Where did you grow up?
I grew up, my family are Scottish. My parents, every grandparent in every direction. I think ancestry-wise, we're 88% Scottish. And my siblings were all born in Scotland. My parents came south, and I don't think my mum was happy about that, but for my father's job. And I was born in Essex, in Chelmsford. My godmother still lives there, and I think it's a great place. My mum wasn't happy. And she had 4 children. My brother was 12 by the time I was born. And I think she found motherhood really hard. And by the time it got to me, she found it extremely hard.
What's your lasting memory of growing up then?
Loneliness.
You're right. There's a full chapter in this book on loneliness. I mean, it's a great title. When Where is it? The lone. Let me look at here. Being alone, but not lonely.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, actually, that's a phrase I said to my daughter when she went off to university, to Hannah, to Warwick. And as I dropped her off, I said, you might have long periods being alone, but remember, you're never lonely because you are very loved. And
It's that feeling then. It is. It's knowing it, isn't it? It's believing it.
yeah, absolutely. And there's a huge amount of your self-worth is attached to how other people treat you and whether you matter to others. And I don't want to speak badly of my mum, I really don't, but it was a different time. I mean, she was born in 1929. It's a different time in life, and evacuated from Glasgow during the war, all different challenges, and then challenges through her marriage with my dad. And but she just didn't have the emotional space for another daughter, I don't think. And my siblings were older, and I just experienced it. We lived very remotely in a country. We ended up moving to near Newbury, but in a very remote place. And it was lonely. I was lonely, and I sort of really recognised loneliness. And I think the stem of loneliness is to not feeling like you matter to anyone. And I think that's why I'm so driven by the power of community for people, because whatever, the community can be small. But if you get up and then during that day, you know that you matter to someone, that, and the trouble with social media, if you just follow the path of broadcast, is not everybody would be missed if they stopped posting.
It's community that's helped shape you then, isn't it?
It is. Meeting Thomas was just a phenomenal thing when I was 24, to meet an entrepreneur.
What's so good about Thomas?
He's just the kindest, loveliest man with the most phenomenal memory. And he loves to help people and help change their lives. And my mantra is connecting hearts. His is changing lives. And together, he's an amazing networker. I'm a community builder. And together, we've really found a path in life, which has been phenomenal.
What's been the hardest lesson?
The hardest lesson? Understanding money.
Why did you say that?
Because I've always been terrified of it. I grew up terrified of it as a child with Scottish parents. And, when Thomas met me at 24, I had 2 endowment policies, a health fee.
Why were you so scared of it, though?
I think it was my way of feeling safe. I think money made me feel safe.
Right.
And I have a desire for certainty, and money can provide some levels of certainty for you.
If you had to go back in time, would you give yourself any advice around money?
I would have a lot of therapy.
At a younger age?
Younger age. Yeah, because
Is therapy a good thing for people?
Oh, God, yeah, I have a lovely therapist. Thomas and I have this great therapist called Gaz, and I see him, he sees him, then we see him together. Oh, yeah. It's like having a coach. You should always have a business coach. I think therapy. I constantly overcoming challenges as life changes constantly.
The most successful people on the planet, they've all got therapists. You can't ignore this.
It's beautiful. It's amazing. And digging in. I mean, ChatGPT is also a great therapist. It knows a lot about me.
Yeah, you're training it. You're wonderfully. What is the most beautiful thing on this planet?
People.
What about people?
Just the humanity that exists within people. There are people are so kind. They really are just so kind, in such unseen ways.
Do you know Mary Portas?
I know of her. I don't know her.
Yeah. We interviewed Mary. And,
oh, wow.
If anyone talks about kindness, I always think of Mary. She's brutal as well. I mean, she will say, look,
tough love.
If you are not kind, you will be found out.
Yeah.
You better be kind. I mean, she really hammers this.
I didn't know that about her.
Yeah, and she's massively into it. She's an amazing lady. And she says society will find you out for a similar thing to what you've said about it can't be about you. You've got to serve.
Oh, and as we move into an AI age where, to a certain extent, our brains, Daniel Priestley, which I know you've interviewed, put it brilliantly about AI about 2 years ago. And he said that, when manufacturing came in, our hands lost its power. AI's coming in, our brain will lose some of its power, but nothing can replace our heart. And kindness, the kindness values around this, meaningful relationships, community, all these things are going to be critical.
Do you know what I like about AI? Like for me, I'm not losing myself on it.
No.
I'm never experiencing any form of overwhelm anymore at
No.
all, because I've got an assistant now that can process some thinking for me. I can give it information, like, give me an idea of what to do with all of this, and it thinks for you. That's the intelligence era that we're in.
It's amazing.
It's pretty incredible. It is pretty incredible. What's the best book that you've ever read yourself?
Gosh, that's a really tough. I'm not really a very good reader, and I've been learning to read better. Not that I can't read; it's just that focus. And it didn't. My parents bought me one book, David Copperfield, and I remember we were in Bath, and Dad was on a business trip down there, and Mum wanted to go, and they had to drag me along. And I remember this book and the bookshop on a bridge that we bought it in. It was amazing, but reading's not been.
Have you ever seen David Copperfield?
Yes, yeah, it's beautiful. So, but my best book I've ever read. I think the one is really enough. The one that I think has shaped a lot of my thinking was Permission Marketing with Seth Godin. It's a tiny book, but I do think but I've not read many books, and it sounds bad, but I've learned a lot about the fact we've got these two people that are very, very academic friends, and they've said to Thomas and I once, could you teach us how to listen? You're the amazing listeners. And I thought that's really interesting. And I think if you're very intelligent, if you've got a lot of knowledge, you share, you tell, you explain, you teach. But if you brought up, I went to a private school, but appalling education, thinking academically I learn everything from people. Everything I learn is from talking to people, hearing their stories, hearing their knowledge. That's what I love. So books haven't been very central in my life, even to the extent that when Thomas and I were getting married and we did some lessons with the vicar beforehand, he asked us, what do you feel you're going to have to give up when you get married? And Thomas said reading, because Penny never reads. And he said, what are you going to have to give up? And I said, flirting. And Thomas said, if I let you flirt, will you let me read?
Yeah, so Thomas is the reader, you're the flirter. If you had to recommend to the listeners the first action now they've listened to this, what's the first action that they should take in their lives? What should it be?
If they haven't got it already, build some really deep, honest, meaningful relationships around them in business. And I'm saying in business because they may have it at home. Some people don't, but in business. And experience that. And once they've experienced, think about what that would do if they built that in their own business.
Dale Carnegie, Outwin Friends and Influence People, he said that happiness is about developing real, meaningful, deep, lasting relationships with the people that matter most in your life. That is how you get happiness, not about fame or fortune. I
didn't know that, so I should have read that one.
Yeah, I recommend to everybody read that one every year. You know what my favourite part of this interview has been? Your absolute commitment to other people, serving them.
Yeah.
You're all about everyone else. And that has actually shone through in this, and it's encouraging me to do exactly the same. What's been your favourite part?
I loved your questions. I love the way we've dug into it, that you've asked me my top 3 things. I love that. Yeah, I think it's just been really nice exploring it. And I think this could come across really cheesy, but
that's all right. Cheesy. You can flirt, you can be cheesy.
Really deeply ingrained in me was the way I could get attention and love was to serve my mum and to serve family. And when I was 11, a boy moved in next door, Toby Woodman. He was cerebral palsy very heavily, and I used to go and look after him after school in my school holidays. And I learnt very early on the way I felt love was to give it. It was just how it worked for me at my young age. And so I don't think it's something you can necessarily switch into, but the ultimate human need we have is love. And we've disconnected from one another too much through social media. And I think now's the time to, it starts with one person being the change in the company, in themselves. Love is just something we always all need.
I'll remember that, though, what you said about the definition of family. It's helping others proudly be themselves.
Yeah.
Penny Power, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Starting
much.
your own business was an exciting time, wasn't it? The good days you had and the bad. You knew you'd have to work hard, but you did it for your future. Lately, though, you're missing out on the important things in life. Time seems to be slipping by. So make the change. Claim back your work-life balance and grow your business today. Visit actioncoach.co.uk